morning we have some more crochet. I'm on a bit of a roll at the moment. It does that. I either go mad wanting to make so many different things at once, or then inspiration just disappears. So nice and quick and simple. We have a pineapple, and of course you've guessed it, the pineapple is a chocolate orange cover. Or perhaps you've not guessed it, the thumbnail tells you, doesn't it? But here we have a pineapple. You can just leave it as a pineapple, or if you want to sort of have a bit of fun, you could add eyes and things like that. That's entirely up to you from there. It is quite a simple pattern. Don't worry about these bobbles. The popcorn stitch is one of my favourites, and it is super easy to do. I'm also planning on seeing whether it will actually make a hat for my midi doll, which I think it might. So I know some of you make for dolls and some of you are just making for fun or charity or presents and things like that. But yeah, this is quite a simple one to do. So I hope you're going to join me. Don't forget, it is UK terms. I'm using a double knit yarn and a 3.5mm crochet hook. Please put some comments below if you enjoy my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and like I say, I try and get back to every comment, or if you have any queries about what I'm doing, or if I've confused you at any point, anything like that, pop it below and I will try and clarify it. So thank you for watching, and let's get crocheting. Right, so let's get started on our little pineapple chocolate orange cover. It is really simple. One of my favorite stitches is the popcorn stitch, and this is what we're going to be using. And I think sometimes if you're not used to crochet, you're a beginner, it's a bit of a scary looking stitch, but believe you me, bit of practice, you'll love it. It'll go on to all sorts of different things that you create. I must admit, I have a tendency to put it in all sorts. So this is a popcorn stitch we've got here, and these are just in a double crochet. Remember, UK double crochet, because I know obviously there's this sort of difference between particularly the US and the UK one. The US double crochet is a longer stitch. It's our treble actually. This is their single crochet, so it gets complicated. So you may need a conversion chart, or you just get used to it. If you see the stitch I'm doing, you'll realize which one I'm doing anyway. But I know it can be confusing, so apologies for that. Now the yarn I've got, these are just two double knit yarns, just standard double knit yarn. These are actually Stylecraft if you want to know what the actual brand is. But there's lots of equivalents out there, but be careful, because depending on the yarn brand you buy, it can make a difference to sizing, and you'd be surprised. It might say double knit, but you'll get one brand double knit and another brand double knit, and there will be different, very tiny bits of difference, but it can alter your shaping on things. Couple of tools here. I've got my scissors, my pen, stitch marker. I've even actually got a pen for once I'm organized, and a needle. And the hook I am using, which is here, I don't know whether you can see that, it is a, oh, that's better, it is a 3.5mm crochet hook that I've just dropped. So we don't need the tools as such, so they can go to one side. Our little pineapple we'll just leave in the corner. For today, I'm only going to make one of these. I will make more because I've got to finish the item myself, but I'm just going to make one to show you guys. I've done 4. You could do more. You could do them short, you could do them longer. Again, you can manipulate. If you want a bit of fun, you can put some googly eyes on it. Entirely up to you. This is just a base pineapple for you to cover your chocolate orange. Pop it out, or gift, or anything else. It stands quite nicely on its own. I try and make sure they all do that, because after you've eaten the orange, you then feel, well, it's a bit of a waste. But if you can have it over or out on display or on something else, it's nice to be able to have it that way. So we're going to move, in fact, no, I'll keep the orange out because I'll talk about the measurements over it, because it's always important to keep checking your measurements. Your tension could be different to mine, for example. Your yarn could be different to mine, and there may be some adjusting needed. Crochet is quite flexible, so you should be okay. But we don't need the green for now. We're going to start with the body of our pineapple. It's just creating some shadow over there, so I'm going to pop him in that corner. I've got the main window just there, and depending on what the weather's deciding to do, it can create shadows or not, which can be very annoying, but it's nice to have the natural light when you're working. So let's try and keep it over there so I don't get any shadow. Now this is going to start very amigurumi-esque, just for the very top bit, that's all. So we're going to have a slip knot. Make sure it does slip. If it does that, you know you got the right knot. Onto my hook, not too tight. And I'm going to just start with 2 double crochet, 2 double crochets. I'm not at all, am I? I'm starting with 2 chain, and into that first of the 2 chain we're going to do 6 double crochets. This is how I do most of my amigurumi. So into that first one we're going to do, remember, UK double crochet, So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we've got 6 stitches now. I'm just pulling this one, the tail of the yarn, just a little bit tighter. So we don't want a hole in the middle there. You can always tighten it up afterwards if you have to, but it's better if you've not got it to start with. We're now going to do 2 double crochets into each of those 6 to give us 12. Now, another thing I will point out, I'm sure if you do this regular, you know, I'm teaching you something you already know, but I do get beginners watch, so it's important. If you're not sure which one to start here, I count from the back. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's actually there, because sometimes it looks like it's higher up. So just count 6 stitches back. Whichever one you get to number 1 is the one we're going to go in. So 2 double crochets in each should give us 12 stitches. So that's 2 in that first one. 2 in number 2, 2 in number 3, 2 in number 4, in number 5, and 2 in our very last one, number 6. So we have 12 stitches now. Now that is the bit that's actually underneath here. So that is where these get sewn on. So again, pull that tight because it's not pulled very tight. That's better. It's closed the hole up. We're now going to start moving on to our popcorn. So again, if you're not used to it, maybe watch me first, then go back and maybe pause it, something like that, and take your time with it. But I promise you, when you get into this stitch, you will absolutely love it. I'm going to actually start by slipping into my next stitch because I want to start with 3 chain. Every round you start when you're doing a stitch like this, you are going to be starting with 3 chain. It does count as our first treble. So in a pattern, this would be it would be a beginner popcorn stitch. So it would be 3 chain, and then you'd do 3 trebles with it to pull it together then to make a cluster. But after that, they're all 4 or 5 or 6, depending on what your pattern actually is. I'm just having a quick look, double checking what I did do actually. Yeah, I did do 5 trebles. But yeah, you can get different size popcorn, so watch out for your pattern. Always read that special stitches section. So we have 1, 2, 3, counts as a treble, yarn round, UK treble, back into that same stitch. That's 1. Again, back into the same stitch. That's 2 trebles, back into the same stitch. We're going to have 1 more, back into the same stitch. There we go. So I'm going to take my hook out now. Make sure you leave a long enough piece there so it doesn't slip. And I'm going to go into the top of that 3 chain we did at the beginning, okay? Picking up the loop, tightening it so it's not going to fall off, because we need to pull that through this. There we go. Yeah, and then we do a chain. Now that chain is a holding chain. We now need also 2 more chain. Okay, they're the chain in between the stitches. We're going to jump into the next one. I'm just looking at my amounts here. We are not, I'm fibbing. I am missing one, aren't I? Yes, I am missing one. I only want here is 6. If we have a look, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it. The first round here, I just need 6. I'm trying to put in 12. We only need 6. Now I've got 12 stitches, so that means I miss 1 stitch. Yes, I can do my maths. Yarn round as a treble, miss 1, into the next one. And we're going to do, well, we're not, because I'm going to drop my stitch there. We're going to do 5 trebles. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this is a 5 treble popcorn. I keep into the center for this filming. So I take that out, I count back to my first treble, go into the top of that first treble. I'm going to grab this piece and pull it through, do a chain. That's the holding chain. Then 1, 2 chain for the actual work. That will be your 2 chain spaces later. So we're going to miss 1, and then I'm going to jump into the next one, and we're going to have 5 trebles again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We take the hook out, we pop it into that first treble, we grab our loop, pull it through, do a chain to hold it, 2 chain. Okay, so you can see how it is actually forming now. So miss one into our next one, and yes, you got it, 5 trebles. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Take it out, pop it into the first one, grab the loop, pull it through, 1 chain hold, then 2 chain for our space. We pull a little bit more of this yarn out. That's it. It's running a bit better now. Miss one into our next one, 5 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Take it out, pop it into the top of that first, grab it, pull it through, holding chain and 2 chains. Right, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I should be missing one, and into the next one, which should be my last one. Well, it will be my last one, not that it should be, it is the last one. 2, 3, 4 trebles, 5 trebles. Take it out into the first one, grab the loop, pull it through, holding chain, 1, 2. Now for our actual slip stitch join, it's a little bit weird. Can I count? Yeah, that's right. Because you sort of, so if you flip that over, can you see just around here, you're sort of just slipping into the back, you know, where you joined, where you pulled it together. That is where we're doing our slip stitch. So we do a slip stitch join. Well, we do if it doesn't get caught. And there we are, slip stitch join. So that's round 1. Now to do round 2, it's the same stitches essentially, but we're going to just jump. We're going to work in these chain spaces. So on the pattern it would say work into your 2 chain spaces. So I'm going to slip stitch into my 2 chain space, and that's my starting position. Now because this is the first popcorn of the round, it's a beginner popcorn, so it's 1, 2 and 3 chain, and then 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again, take it out. This time it's top of the three chain, and pull it through, holding there. Now I've stopped there because I need to explain we're going to be increasing, so I need to do 2 sets of these in every sort of 2 chain space, so we get 12 of them. So that was my holding chain. I'm then going to do my 2, but then my next popcorn is also going to go back into that same space, so we get 1, 2. Remember, they're just 5 trebles now. It's only the first one that starts with 3 chain. That's 2, 3, 4. I had to check what I've done then, yeah, and 5. Take it out, top of the first of those, pull it through, holding chain, 2 chain. Okay, so you can see I have 2 coming out of that space, and we're going to do the same in each one of these to give us our 12. So that gives us our sizing for our orange. So into the next space, 5 trebles to make into a popcorn. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pull it out, pick up that first treble, grab the little loop, pull it through, holding chain, 2 chain. Right, so again, back into the same one. Let's move it up there. I do try and keep it central, because I suppose it's my fault really. I mean, yeah, you need it central anyway, but I didn't realise, you know, if someone's got subtitles, they're going to be here, aren't they? So if I'm crocheting here, the subtitles are coming up and it goes over, so I need to try and keep really in the centre there. That's 3, 4 and 5. So apologies if I move occasionally. It's just that I'm used to crocheting. When I crochet on my own, I crochet nearer my body, whereas with this I have to crochet away from my body. So pick it up, pull it through, holding chain, 2 chain. So look, so you can see. So off we go again. So obviously in total you've got 6 of these little sets, which will give us our 12 popcorn. Did I do 4 there? I did. 1 more. It's weird because some patterns you do 3, 4, 5, etc. Treble popcorns. So sometimes I've been working in 4. So 1, 2, yeah, and in we go. I mean, you don't have to think of that as a holding chain. You can just think of it as 3. When I write a pattern, I will say what the 5 treble cluster 1 chain is a thing, and then 2 chain. That's the only reason I separate it up like that. 3, 4 and 5. Grab it, pull it through, chain, 1, 2 chain. Okay, so you can see how it's fitting now. So if I get my orange, you can see how that's going to now be approximately the right size to then continue down. Because I'm just double checking, I'm pretty sure I have no more increases after that. No, this is our only increase round, so it's not that bad really, is it? So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, pick it up, grab the loop, pull it through, holding chain, 1, 2, and another 5 treble popcorn into the same space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick it up, 1 chain and 2 chain into our next 2 chain space from the previous round. This ball does not want to sort of pull the yarn out very easy, so I have to keep stopping there. So we have 2, 3, 4 and 5. Grab it, pull it through, 1 and then 1, 2. Again, our next 5 into there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Top of the first one, pull it through, chain, 2 chains, and we need that last one. So it's the last set of, well, two treble clusters really, isn't it? 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pick it up, pull it through, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. One chain, 2 chain. So again, that slip stitch join, it's weird, it's sort of right into the back of where that is. Pull it through, and then we just slip stitch into that 2 chain space. So I'm just going to grab my orange, yes, it's an orange. It's weird because I'm saying pineapple orange, yeah, my pineapple to go over my orange. So you can see how it sort of sits like a little hat now. So that sits quite nicely, which means if we look at this one, this is where it was 2s, and from then on it's just 1 of these in every single space. So that's 1, 2. So then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. But depending on your tension, when you get about here, you need to try it on that orange, because if you're a little bit looser, you might already be there. So we're going to do just 5 rounds. So I've got my pen and paper ready, of just 5 treble clusters into each chain space. So you have, if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you have 12 clusters per round. Remember the first one though, it starts with 3 chain, and each time it will always start with 3 chain. Let's move the orange over a little bit. So in we go. This is where you sometimes have to concentrate, because you've been doing two in each section, you'll want to carry on doing 2. So that's 3, 4 and 5. Pick it up, pull it through, hold chain, 2 chain. So it's still got that 2 chain into the next 2 chain space. It's all 2 chain, 2 chain, 2 chain, isn't it? 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pick it up, pull it together, 1 chain and 2 chain. Next space. When you, like I said, when you get into this stage, I mean, I hope you'll love it. I absolutely love it. It's definitely one of my favorites. Makes great things like cushions or anything you want textural. It's just a lovely textural stitch. 3, and one of the simpler ones as well. and 5, pick it up. Oh, if I can, pull it through, chain hold, 2 chain into our next one. Now I know some of you probably are gonna, oh, my wool's on the floor, I knew it'd end up there eventually. I know some of you will have fast forwarded to the end of the 5 rounds, so I will see you at the other end if that's what you've done. But yeah, or maybe you've paused it while you, I don't know, pop some music on while you do these 5 rounds, something like that. I know some of you do stay with me while I'm chattering along. 1, 2, so you can see how that's working nicely. Hope that's not going to catch under my chair. Sometimes it catches under my chair. So we need our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In we go. Pick it up, pull it through. I mean, if you want to think of that as 3 chain, you can do whichever works for you. I have a tendency to make up like little rhymes as I'm going that reminds me of what technique I'm doing. So it's just a funny little way that I do it. So I don't have to keep looking back to the pattern. I'll sort of make a little rhyme up for myself so I know what I'm doing. So in, pull it through, and our chains. Next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick it up, pull it through, and our chains. 1, 2. Oh, or not. It's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 3. I got distracted then. I looked up at my phone because there was a notification. 4, 5. Grab it, pull it through. So you can see how it's pulling round now, sort of making a little hat, which is something I am considering making, a pineapple hat for one of my dolls. I think that would be a little bit of fun. I think this would probably fit a midi. It doesn't need to be as long as this, and I would need to alter maybe this bit and things like that, but it has possibilities to be a pineapple hat just for a bit of fun. Why not? I would have said for summer, but last week, if you're in the UK, you'll know, last week was really quite warm, which I was sort of moaning about because I don't like it too hot. Well, it's the sun doesn't like me, it's not the other way around. It sort of makes me feel sick if I'm out in it too long, so it doesn't agree with me. So what have I got there for? So I was sort of moaning, should be grateful, but I was still moaning. Let's pop that in there and grab it. And then we started to get the rain again. And today I have put my washing outside and the skies are very grey. So I am really keeping my fingers crossed. So this pineapple's about the only sunny thing around at the moment. Dear me, it doesn't want to go. Where are you going? There you are. So that's 3, 4. I'm moving down again, aren't I? And 5. Pick it up, pull it through. Now I've got one more for this round to do. When I've done this, I am going to double check on my pineapple. I'm sewing it again. I'm going to call that a pineapple, and I'm going to end up calling this an orange. I will check on my chocolate, shall we call it? I'll call it a chocolate. I'm not going to, it's still going to go wrong. But here we go. So this is the last of round 1. It's a little bit time consuming as a stitch, because obviously if you think you're doing 5 stitches in every stitch, so of course it's more time consuming. So slip stitch like we did last time, and then slip stitch into the next 2 chain space. And let's see how this is going. You do need to give it a little stretch. You do need to stretch your work anyway as you're going. So yeah, that's looking good to me. Just looks like he's got a little wig on at the moment. So what's round 1? I will write that down. Don't really need to write it down for this, but when I'm talking I end up forgetting, don't I? So 3 chain, because it's our beginner popcorn. Then we need 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And top of that 3 chain, grab it, pull it through, and 1, and then 2. off we go. So again, it's no more increasing now. It is just literally one popcorn into every single chain space, every 2 chain space should I call it. 3, 4, pick it up, pull it through. I don't know whether I did 2 or 3 there. Yeah, it's again annoying me, this wool now on the floor. I might have to pause and pick it up because it's dragging on my hands because of its weight. It makes it a little bit uncomfortable to work with. Here we go. Pick it up. Pull it through. 1, 1, 2. Yeah, so I'm really hoping the rain. We need the rain. The rain's important. I do like it actually when it rains. But I really need it to keep off for a few hours because I really don't want to put any heating on to get the clothes dry. So fingers crossed we're going to have a dry day, albeit windy and grey out there. That's 3, 4 and 5. Oh, stuck. There we are. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go round this round. I'm going to pause. I've got to pick that wool off the floor because it's really annoying me now. It gets round the leg of my chair. That's the problem. And then obviously it starts to pull and it's harder to make the yarn move. In fact, I'm going to pause now because, like I say, it is starting to get a little bit annoying. Well, I will pause if I can find my little thing that pauses. I have a little clicker. I have it. Here it is. Is my little clicker I use. And I'm back. So I'd only done 1 stitch of that one. So we need 5 in total, don't we? So the wool is now on my table. Hopefully it will stay there. In we go. Pick it up, pull it through. 1 and 1, 2. 1. Oh, that it nearly ended up as a half treble. It's really easy to take stuff out with crochet. That's the beauty of it. So that's why I took it back out. For the sake of 1 stitch, just take it out, even if it's a couple of stitches, because it's not gonna run. It's not gonna do anything like knitting does. So it's best to do that for the sake of a stitch or 2. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. One, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yeah, it's weird when you go round. It's also, it looks a bit odd because that first one looks like it's slopey, so you're like, oh, am I round, am I not? We've actually only got 2 more to do when we are round. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Grab it, pull it through. We got there 4 and 5. Grab it, pull it through, and our chains. Now we're round, so that means if you just turn it slightly, you can see the back where you joined. That is where I'm going to do the first slip stitch join, well, the only slip stitch join, but then I do a slip stitch into the next 2 chain space, ready to start again. give it a little stretch. It's weird with these stitches, you get like a pop. Sometimes you can almost hear it popping when you stretch it, but it does need that little stretch when you've worked on it. So you can see we're about halfway down now, but that was round number 2, wasn't it, which I will just mark down. So we have, well, we've got 3 more rounds, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do those rounds without you, because I don't know whether perhaps you get a little bit bored watching me do all the same stitches over and over again. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, it'll pause, I'll come back, and I will have done all 5 rounds, and then I can show you the next bit of the pattern. So it's going to be in bits actually, this video. This is an experiment. I don't normally do it this way. I'd consider doing it fast forward, but I'm not quite sure how to do that either. There's so much to learn, you know, when you do these videos. So I think I'm tempted to say I'm going to do the next 3 rounds on my own. Otherwise, you're just hearing me count to 5 and join, count to 5 and join, which gets, I'm sure, must get a little bit boring for yourself. So I've done 2 rounds where we're just doing 5 treble popcorn in each space, and I'm going to continue doing another 3 rounds. But I do recommend for yourself, when you get to the 4th, check on here, make sure it's going to fit your orange nicely. Okay, so I'm going back in. Well, for you it's going to be a split second, but for me it's going to take me a few minutes to do this next bit. So here we are after I've done my 5 rounds. So I hope you join me back here now. So this now should fit quite nicely on our orange, which I think is okay. And if, to be honest, if you really want to do, you could leave it there. I just like to tighten it up a little bit at the bottom, so it just finishes it, just edges it. So basically this is easy peasy bit. We are now moving on to double crochets again. So I'm going to just jump straight into this next 2 chain space, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. That's it. And we're going to do that in each one. So we've got 1, 2, I think the camera looks closer, doesn't it? 3, I don't know why. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, keep going round. Guys, I don't worry about going into stitches or anything like that. It is literally just 3 double crochets into each of those spaces. The reason it being 3 is because if you think the actual popcorn is the equivalent to the 1 where you do that chain where it joins, and then we have 2 more chain, don't we? So it makes 3. So otherwise you'll be pulling it in too tight if you do less than that. I'm sure this camera's too close. One, 2, and or not on 3 we have, I keep dropping it, don't I? What's wrong with me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3. So we're about halfway around. In fact, we're more than halfway around, aren't we? We're nearly there. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, last set, 1, 2, 3, and a slip stitch join. So can you see how that just tightens up that edge, and it neatens the edge, and as it goes over the orange, it feels a little bit tight to start with, but it just pulls it in around the base of our orange here. Now the next step you can do, if you're not happy with that or it's not pulled it in tight enough, you could do another round of double crochets, and it just brings it in around the orange a little bit, but that should be enough for this point. You need to decide on your tension whether any more is required. I might actually add in an extra round, and because I'm going to make this into a pattern, and when I make the pattern I'm going to say do another round of double crochets, but I'll also write it is optional, and it comes down to how your sizing sits. So we're going to leave it at that. So that is our pineapple. So he's quite cute. Let's say it's a really cute little hat, really, wouldn't it? So I'm going to pop pineapple to one side, and I'm going to bring in our green yarn for one of these. I don't know what are they, leaves? I'm not quite sure what they're called on pineapples. The little bits that stick up over the top of a pineapple, put it that way. We're going to go on with this. It starts amigurumi. Again, we'll move those guys over there because of the shadow. So let's get going with this. Now this will be, if you make amigurumi toys or something like that, this will be like, oh yeah, I've done that before. So here we go, 2 chain into my first chain, 6 double crochets, 1, I hope this is going to show up against this board, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and I'm just checking my pattern because I got it onto the other side. Yes, I did do it that way. So I'm just going to pull that, just pulls the ring together, and then I'm just going to do 1 double crochet in each one. It does sort of close it up a bit weird when it's doing it like that, but we need 6 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see it curling round, which is a bit of a pain? 5 and 6. Now before you go any further, turn this the right way around. I just push it over my little finger and just push it down, and you can see the hole has opened a little bit. So again, pull that nice and tight for that top bit. We are now going to do an increase, but it's not a massive one. We're going to do 2 in the first stitch, 1 in the second stitch, and you're going to repeat that combo 3 times. So you end up with 9 stitches. So here we go. So we did 2 in our first one, we have 1, 2, 1 in our second one. That's combination number 1. Then we're going to have another combination, so it's a 2 in that next one, then a 1. So that's our second combination. The last and final combination, we have a 2 and a 1. So we've actually increased. Again, we need to push it back out again. It'll keep doing that for a couple of rounds. So now we have 9 stitches. So the next one we're going to increase. We're not going to increase again. We're going to do a double crochet round. So as I say, we've got 9 stitches. So I just need 9 double crochets now. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now we're going to do an increase. It just gives it a little bit more of a point. I mean, I could have increased, but it keeps it a bit more pointy if you do the double crochet in between there. So the next one is a similar sort of system to before. You know, when we did 2 in one, but then we're going to do 1, 1. That is your combination. 2 in the first one, and then a 1 and a 1 times 3. So we end up with 12 stitches. There we go. So 2 in this first one. Then we're going to have a 1 and a 1. Okay. Second combination. We have a 2. We're going to have a 1 and a 1. Our last combination, we're going to have a, oh, we're not going to have anything if I don't hold it right. We have a 2 in 1, and then we have a 1 and a 1. So now we have 12 stitches, and now we are just going to do double crochet rounds. If you wish to put your stitch marker in here, you can do, but we've got 12 stitches. Not sure whether we really need to count that. So we're going to do 4 rounds. So we're going to count 12 4 times. So off we go. This is round 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. I'm going to mark it down because I'm not using a stitch marker. Well, I'll mark it down if I find my pen. There it is. So that's 1. So we've got 3 more rounds to go. I suppose you could make these as long as or as short as you want as well, but this is the length I decided on. That was all. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So that is round 2. Round number 3. mean, if you wanted to make these thinner, you could actually stop at, you know, when we increase to 9 stitches and then just do them as long as you want. So you don't have to do them as wide as this. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So our last round coming up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So you can see what we've got up to now. Again, I usually like to give my wool a little bit of a stretch to make sure it's sort of where I want it to be. You can manipulate it quite well actually. And now we're going to do a decrease round because I want it to sort of curve round a little bit. So we're going to do 2 together, 1 DC, and we're going to do that 4 times. So here we go. So 2 together, we pick up a stitch. So we have 2, we go straight into the next one. We have 3, pull all 3 together. That is our together stitch. And then we want, did I say 1? We need 1. So that's our first of the combination. Our second one, so we pick up the stitch, don't finish it, pick up the stitch, don't finish it, pull it through all 3, 1 double crochet. So that's our second one. So 1 more, 1, pull through, 1. We have 1 more, don't we? Again, you can take this as thin or as wide as you wish. Oh, and pick up the full stitch would help. Get in there. That's it. So you can see how it's sort of started to pull it in? So now we're going to do a double crochet round. 1, 2. You should have 8 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And now we're going to have a look before we decide whether we want to go any longer or any shorter. Now you can see this is approximately the sizing I did. Well, I've sort of like folded them when I sort of stitch it together. So if you have a little look, they would be a little bit shorter, so but it doesn't really matter. Remember, a pineapple can be any shapes and sizes. It's up to you to decide on whether you want more or less, or even more than 4 of these, to be honest. I had wondered whether 5 would have been a better number, but I just did do 4 at the time. So we're going to do 1 more round double crochet and then we're going to fasten off. So remember, it's 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I like to do a slip stitch join to finish my work. So not a slip stitch join, just a slip stitch. Don't know why I said slip stitch join. Right, cut my yarn. Make sure you've got enough yarn here to sew it onto our pineapple body. Now this piece here, now it's up to you. If you're really worried about this coming undone, you do need to stitch that in somewhere. I'm pretty confident mine's quite tight. I am not going to cut it too short. I'm just going to cut it next to the body so it's out of the way. And let me grab a needle a minute. Now what I mentioned before was I just slightly folded them before I stitched them on. Let me get this into view first. Nope, we don't want to go in. Problem being is I always like to use a really sharp wool needle. It's more like a darning needle, but it means the actual eye is a bit smaller, so it sometimes takes a bit of getting in. So basically it's like what I do with my rabbit ears. I make sure that is to the side, then I just fold them slightly. You see, you get that sort of foldy effect, and I just sort of do a little stitch, and fasten off. It just sort of holds it into that sort of shape, which is what I did with those. The other thing then, I just sort of stretched it and sort of just shaped it a little bit, so you've got a little bit more sort of length there. So if I pop this back on, ta-da, still not fastened that bit off, have I? And basically I would be sewing these into place on the bit where it's just the flat, you know, where you've just did the amigurumi bit right at the very beginning. So I can do them. I mean, really, what should I have done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have done 6 really, then you could have done one in between each one, but entirely up to you how many you do of those. And that is just our little pineapple stalks. I think they're called stalks. I don't know what they're called. The pineapple bits at the top, the leaves. So this is our chocolate orange pineapple that we have done for today. I'll put the original one on so you can see it better. There we are. And hope you enjoyed doing that. Hope you're going to make some. Please pop a comment below. Also, I'm never quite sure, you know, I've split this and I've gone, well, I'll pause and I'll go off and do it and then come back to you. I'm never quite sure whether that's the best way or whether I should fast forward it. I get different comments. Some people say they like to listen to me talk. Some people say they don't like to listen to me talk, which again, beauty YouTube, just put it on silent and play some music while you're watching it. So there are options, but I'm never quite sure whether, you know, if you've got a lot to do here, whether it gets a little bit boring for you guys or not. I'm not quite sure. We're just playing around with it at the moment. So pop a comment there down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you do enjoy my channels, please like, subscribe and share. And if you do want the pattern version of this, I'm going to be popping it up on the website as well. So as soon as I put it on the website, I'll put the link on the video. So thank you again and bye bye for now.